Good day everyone, Professor Kivo Sia Casimiro again of Instabright Publication. I would like to thank Instabright Publication for always inviting me to talk for everyone. Now, what are we going to discuss is a topic wherein we'll focus on how are we going to realign the duties and responsibilities of officials of an institution or academic institution during the pandemic crisis COVID-19. If you're going to analyze, there are different officials in the institutions which we have to give certain new duties. If we have the new normal, we have the new duties for these officials, so they can be transformed from less functional to be more productive and more functional this new normal. Okay, but before I immerse myself, or before we immerse ourselves into the main topic, I would like to discuss first some recommendations for leaders and officials during the pandemic on how are they going to be ready as a whole. First recommendation that I am to discuss is clearly define the role of the school leaders in the crisis response. As leaders, whatever positions we may have, guidance counselor, student discipline coordinator, student activity coordinator, principal, and all, we have to be a person who's good in crisis management. Uh, Leaders must be good in crisis management. We should be setting clear guidelines. As much as I would want to tell the government officials to set clear guidelines, I don't have the enough and sufficient power to do so. But I have the guts to tell it to academic leaders, since we are uh, on the same boat. We have the same feathers, we have the same goals, we have the same aspirations. So I would like to advise all academic leaders before implementing any policy regarding school, most especially we are on a crisis that we could not control 100%. Make sure that you will be giving 100% rules and regulations clearly. It should not be summarized. It should not be you know, things that are ambiguous. We should be giving instructions and directions or goals or guidelines as clear as a crystal. Why? If you're going to notice, people in the Philippines are having a hard time understanding protocols coming from the government because it's not that clear. There would have to be an addendum first before they understand whatever guidelines or protocols that the government had given. Now, make sure that the protocols are going to give should be aligned with the suggestions of the parents, because we should consult the stakeholders. We should align it with the policies of IATF, so as with the policies of DOH. So whatever happens, we reach the competency set by the concerned agency. Mind you, this webinar will not be so much of a long one because I am just going to focus on a certain topic where we are going to talk about the realignment of job description of certain officials. Next, provide support and resources. As a top management, like for example, you're the president or principal of public school, for the other leaders of the institution to feel that they are still worth working, we have to provide whatever support they need and whatever resources they need. It's hard to distinguish what kind of resources we're going to provide them, because this is a kind of battle wherein we don't know when, and where are we going to win. Okay, but what's more important is we have provided the best things that we know and the best things that we have. Next, recommendation number 2: designate school officials to lead process and changes and reopening schools. It's not a one-man work, but it's a collaborative work for us to survive the calling that we are into, which is teaching. First, the mental health and well-being challenges. Depression is very much, rampant these days. So our officials, most especially the middle managers, are looking up into the top management. And if it's the top management who are weak at point, middle managers will be having a hard time working because they don't feel that the top management is providing them the support that they need to have a stable mentality or stable mental health. Next is In this recommendation number 2, there will be learning losses, loss of students and teachers. This is the problem we're in schools are about to face. We do not know, most especially in private schools, how many students would enroll with us because they are afraid of this pandemic outbreak. No matter how we're going to explain it, no matter how we make them understand the matter, there will always be a loss. Unless otherwise, we provide them the convincing power that they should know. Like for example, for an instance, the common questions that the parent would ask, how would your online classes go? How flexible the schedule is? How safe your school is? Are you prepared regarding technology? Are you prepared regarding health measures? Are your teachers prepared to teach this kind of setup? These are the questions that should be answered directly and concisely. Now, if the parent would think that you haven't answered just one of the areas that I have mentioned, there's a possibility that they would not enroll in the institution. But mind you, I would like to tell you that there's a big chance of not reaching the usual population that the school has. It's either we reach the same number or we reach the number near to it, but it's very impossible to overpass or to go beyond the present figure that the school has. That's why it is a challenge for the principal or the dean. It is a challenge to the top management. It is a challenge on marketing. Okay? The marketing these days should not be fake marketing, but the marketing that we are to provide should be, really sides with the truth. Sides with the truth wherein they will know and they will be assured that they're safe and they will still learn amid the pandemic that we are facing. Next, we should ensure adequate supplies. It's gonna be hard to provide 100% satisfaction regarding supply because we will be having problems regarding budget if and when we haven't reached the sufficient number of enrollees we are expecting. Next, scheduling and other logistic changes. I do advise that do not make your class the same thing that you were in the face-to-face setup. That, for example, your scheduling is English 8 to 9, Math 9 to 10. No, make it flexible because there are students who have parents who are working and it will be very hard for students, most especially in elementary, to understand the lesson that you're going to provide if they don't have the tutelage of their parents or guidance. Next recommendation is develop programs to train and improve leaders and their job description. This will fall on the next topic on how are we going to realign the duties and responsibilities of the officials that we use to get into or we use to indulge or immerse ourselves into whenever there's something that we need. Okay? So what are those who are those officials or what are those offices that the duties should be realigned? First, the guidance office. Next, the student discipline office or the prefect of discipline or student discipline coordinator. Student activity coordinator. Anyway, the student discipline coordinator and the student activity coordinator are those officials who would be having a hard time determining what job description or what job functions are they still going to have regarding this crisis. Because student activity coordinator is related to the physical activities that the student must have. Next is the student discipline coordinator. It's a kind of job wherein, they need to indulge or they need to connect with the students physically. So the questions are, how are we going to realign this? How are we going to polish this? Okay, let's start with the librarian. The first question that comes to the minds of the administrators, how are we going still to have a librarian in this kind of setup, flexible learning, blended learning, online learning, transitional modality, or flipped approach? There's no library in home. But if we're going to think about it, most especially if you're in private school, you have the authority to realign the duties of the librarian or other officials in school. First, why don't you transform the duties of the librarian to support the research team? Since librarian talks about books and other facts, librarian can be of support to research and development team, research, development, and innovation center, so that they can provide whatever facts or whatever needs that the student must have. Next is they can be in a committee wherein they provide public health awareness. But first, for example, I'm the librarian. I should be updated with whatever news that is happening in around the globe. So, for example, there is a topic whirling around the Philippines or in the world that talks about public health awareness or any related topics. For example, vaccine, depression, or any other. I can be of help to the research team wherein I will provide them the facts that I did watch or I did research, and I will try to contextualize it, and it's the research team who will justify it and publish it. So it's in collaboration with other offices. Next is information provider coming from news platform. I mentioned it a while ago. You can actually be creative. You know what? Other positions could work depending upon the creativity of the top management or their superior. Like for example, you will be having links to videos that will be posted on the Facebook page of the institution and presto. Okay? Next. Student activity coordinator. Uh, at first, you're going to think that you will be zero in function whenever you hold the position student activity coordinator. But if you're going to analyze it deeply and if you're going to think creatively, you will not be, less functional because you can still conduct activities in home. As long as you're going to explain it to parents creatively, constructively, and clearly. Like for example, a common activity in the present educational landscape of the Philippines is a buwan ng wika. How are you going to conduct dances and everything inside the house? Think of other activities like for example, students. They will be singing OPM songs. It will be taped in a video. It will be sent to your email or whatever platform you have, and it will be posted in the FB page. The moment it will be posted in the FB page, students would see that they can still enjoy classes even they're at home. It's just a matter of creativity. It's not only the singing contest, but also the tula, the malikhaing sulatin, and others. They are just going to tape the video of what they did, be it dance, single dance, singing contest, tula, talumpating hindi handa, talumpating handa, or even malikhaing sulatin in the form of picture or photo. They are just going to send it to you or to the concerned official, post it in the FB page. Presto, you're going to have the certain activity that concerns buwan ng wika. Even other activities you can actually create. You can actually convert the duty of the student activity coordinator to social media manager. Since social media manager involves the activities of the school. The student activity coordinator just has to coordinate with the principal, marketing, and owner so that the activities will be posted should be aligned with the competency and with the culture of the new normal that we have now. Next is the student council. We can still have the student council as far as I know. You just try to change their nature of responsibility. Like for example, instead of making projects of buying this and those, why don't you try to conduct a cell group for those Christians, or be peer advisors of the students, or be the one who encourages the students in the form of tape videos. You know what? I do admire Messenger these days rather than immersing yourselves in other applications demanding so much of the data of your internet, because Messenger sometimes, most of the time, is free. And it's user friendly because students these days are immersing themselves in Messenger whether they have a load or not. Okay? Next is the guidance office. There are different functions of the guidance office. First is the testing, counseling, placement, advising. First is the testing. How are we going to have entrance tests of the students? If you're going to ask me, it can be wiped out. It can't be, or it can be wiped out. The moment we wipe it out, because we just want the students to feel easy whenever they enroll, it's fine. But you would like to be creative, it depends upon the guidance office on how are they going to make entrance exam digitalized and send it to students, and how are they going to collect and retrieve it after the students have answered it. It depends upon the creativity and thinking of the people behind it. Next, counseling. I believe it falls into forms. You can actually, week by week, post a tape video, some pieces of advice regarding guidance related matters, any topic that is at presently discussed. You can actually have a tape video posted on the FB page. Students will be able to watch it. If, for example, there's a situation now happening in the country and you would like to give pieces of advice, guidance can actually post a video on your FB page and students can watch it. Next is personal. Make sure that you will be having announcements, widen the functions of the guidance office. Make them the friends of the students these days, because these days are very depressing and oppressing. So for example, I am a student, I felt something that is not good at home, or I've been having problems on a certain issue which I cannot divulge to my friends. I can actually chat. Make sure that you are available to talk to the students, and make sure that the info that you're going to have with the students are kept confidential. And it should only be the parent who should know the matter. Like for example, there was a student who's having depression because of the present crisis that we're having. The moment that they chat you, because you posted an announcement that you can actually be their friend through the projects that you're having, make sure that you are having personal talks through Messenger or what. It's up to you on how are you going to deliver it. Tape videos, calling, live conference, voice clip, through chat, through text. It's up to you. But you have to put, of course, barrier because you're still a professional. Next, placement. Placement, I do not advise it for basic education institutions. It's only for senior high and college or graduate school. It's most applicable to senior high and college because they are in need of work after. Senior high can work after, depending on the nature of the company. So as with the college. So placement office should be creative on how they are going to tap students who would like to work, and how are you going to let them know that this is the kind of work that they are fitted into. It depends upon the creativity of the guidance. I can advise, I can give, I may give advice, but it always depends upon the creativity of the guidance counselors working on a certain institution. Next, for me, this is the most important, advising. Do not forget to, for example, post a quote in the Facebook page. But there, it's from your office, guidance office. So your office will still be felt, and in a manner or two, you're trying to open the minds of the students in the present situation that they are facing into, or whatever problems they are having on the present situation. Next is guidance, student discipline coordinator. This is an issue last time that we were talking with my friends. How will a student discipline coordinator self-functions wherein there will be no cases at all because the students are in home? There is. You can actually have a single moment with a student. Like for example, the teacher were able to report to you that there was a student, no matter how flexible the schedule is, no matter how wide the patience of the teacher is, they're still not submitting the activities that the teacher had given. Like for example, the teacher already interfered with a case or with the scenario, and still the students weren't able to respond. You can actually have a different kind of duty wherein you're going to have a moment with the student. Chat the students if it's junior, senior, and college. If it's elementary, of course, you have elementary and pre-elementary, you have to coordinate with the parent so that things will be legal, things will be okay, and will be socially acceptable. Student discipline coordinator can also be part of the school health committee. You have to be creative on what functions are going to give them. They can be an advisor of students' mental health. They can team up with the guidance office. Although there are some parts wherein it's a conflict of interest between guidance office and the student discipline coordinator. The common error of the Philippines is that the guidance office, they think, is the one gives sanctions to the students whenever they are at failing mode. But it's actually the student discipline coordinator. The guidance is the friend of the students in terms of advising. Next, student discipline coordinator can actually work hand in hand with the teachers, requesting reports on how they progress in terms of submission, being efficient, and being effective as students. Because that falls on the teacher, principal, and you as the student discipline coordinator. Yes, there will always be lesser functions of these officials that I mentioned, but the moment you become creative, it will be fine, right? Uh, Research team, yes, they may have lesser functions, but always remember that research is very productive. No matter what scenario that we are going to face, they still have this, function of making their office productive. If there is an office we're in, it's very functional even the pandemic crisis. It's the office of the principal, the office of the vice president for academics, and the research office. Let's talk about, for example, the marketing. How are they going to function even in the pandemic crisis? They cannot have uh, career talks. They cannot have face-to-face career campaign. You know what? It depends on the matter, or it depends on the creativity of the marketing head. A real marketing head and a real marketing director is indeed creative, no matter what situations you are in. Remember that marketing is the life of the institution, whether you are in the pandemic crisis or not, because it's the one who brings the students and creates a great image for the institution. I cannot divulge the strategies for marketing because, of course, I'm going to use it in my school. I cannot make it televised or published. But if you're in need of questions on how are we going to still maintain the target number or the population of your school amid pandemic crisis, unless otherwise the president cancels the class, you may actually connect with me. I'm going to give you my number, 0915 497 0345. Again, I would like to give you my number, 0915, I stood corrected, 497 0345. 0915 497 0345. I can also give you my Facebook account. You try to send me messages whenever you are in need of an answer to certain questions. Kiv Ozia Casimiro. Kiv Ozia G Casimiro. That's my name on my Facebook. Keive, V as in victory, Ozia, O, Z as in zebra, Ozia, Ozia, G with a period for a middle initial, Casimiro, Casimiro. Let me repeat my surname. Casi, Casimiro, Miro. Sorry, I misspelled. I am having, stuttering moment. Okay? And don't forget to subscribe to InstaBright publication. Whenever you watch this video, you just have to locate the subscribe button on the right side of the YouTube channel or YouTube channel. Subscribe first. Okay, presto. You will be able to watch. Another, if you want an electronic certificate, you just have to pay 300 pesos to PayMaya, GCash, or the bank account provided by Sir Alvin Punong Bayan. Okay? This has been Professor Casimiro of InstaBright Publication. I'm always happy to serve you whenever you have questions. I was able to give my phone number so as with my Facebook account, So whenever I'm online, I'm willing to answer you. You can actually take a call. You don't need to introduce yourself whenever you call me. I'm gonna answer. Okay? Thank you very much. Good night.